thank everybody for coming. It's always good to get people together. I want to thank my family members that have come here. I've got some cousins, and have a new cousin that I just discovered this year, John Colgan. He found me through Ancestry. And I want to thank my mother's dear old friends and neighbors that have come here. We've got a bunch of them and some of my cousins. It's good. I wanted to thank Lisa and Fred Colback, the architects, who designed the restoration of Vesper back in the 90s. They left as part of the design the fact to have a clock here, and we just got around to it last year. I want to thank Hillary Langer. Hillary is there's Hillary. Hillary was the one who was so passionate about having a clock in Vesper because there used to be a board across the way. I forget who it was, but it always had a clock on it, so you could always see what time it was when you're rowing or driving. It was what? Stroman Bakery. Right. So it was Hillary's mission to make sure that Vesper had a clock in the design, and so it's good we finally got it done. I want to thank Paul Horvat. I also want to thank Hillary because I said, well, Hillary, we need to get a plaque, and he said, well, we can get the same one we did for Connect. I said, great. This is what I want to say. You do it. So Hillary did a great job. It's a beautiful plaque. And Paul, of course, was the engineer who arranged meeting people to get the clock installed, and he put the plaque on. I also want to thank Ed Lovell. Ed Lovell was the electrician who not only installed the clock and the wiring, but during the restoration in the 90s, he did so much work here. As a Vesper member, he hardly charges for anything, and he just passed away earlier this year, a few months after he wired the clock. So I want to thank Ed. Also want to thank my brother Sean. Sean was the one who put up the money to put this clock up here. And I especially want to thank Sean because this time I didn't have to do anything crazy in order to get the money.
Well, actually, you have to do this naked.
Well, two years ago, I raised money to put up the outdoor boat racks, and to do that, I had to ride 2 hours through the streets of Philadelphia on a bike, just wearing a painted-on Vesper unisuit. So I was.
That did scare a lot of people. They all joined Malta.
So, yeah. Well, there were a few thousand.
People stayed indoors.
Well, some people paid for me to keep my clothes on, but they were overwhelmed by people who wanted me up there involved. So anyway, I also wanted to thank my dad for making one of the best choices you make in your life, marrying the right girl, and of course I want to thank Mom. She was a force. I'm sure Kevin will say more about Mom. But after Sean gave the money to put up the clock, we were thinking, well, who should we name it to? Name it after her. I said, well, I want to name it after Mom because she was always yelling upstairs, "Hey, get up! It's time for practice!" Or "You're gonna be late for school. Get up!" So we figured it was appropriate that we name the clock. It's on the 3rd floor. It's named after our dad, and it's good that they're back together. So I also have a glass here of Harvey's Bristol Cream. Mom wasn't much of a drinker, but when she did have a nip, she had some Harvey's Bristol. So we have a bottle there and some glasses. If you guys want to have some as well, then help yourself. Anyway, Kev, you have a couple words you want to say?
I'm going to say a few words. Not everybody knows my mom's history. Some people probably haven't seen her in years and years. So I'll talk a little about her history, and you'll see, what she had to overcome and what kind of person she was, and how she felt about people, how people felt about her. She was born in 1926. Both her parents, Patrick and Nora, were Irish immigrants, farmers in Ireland, and they grew up in Philadelphia, and a working class couple. Her father died when Mom was 7. He worked in a factory, and they didn't think it was that important to worker safety, so the fumes from the factory burned his lungs out. And then in those days, before Social Security or any kind of unemployment, the family had to break up. Two brothers moved to Girard College, and my mother was sent to live with cousins for a couple years. Her other sister was sent out to live with cousins of my parents. So the family was broken up, which is what happened in those days. And so she really, didn't really grow up with, boys and sisters. She came back to live with her mother and open the door up after school and get dinner started and like that. She was a hard worker in school. She started school when she was 4 and a half. Her mother told her, "Look, Mary, you're tall for your age. Go and tell the sister that you're 6." So she went in there. She was always a straight A student. Graduated first in her class from Hallahan, and she got a full scholarship to Chestnut Hill College. But her mother said, "Mary, you can't go to college. How am I going to afford the car fare for you to get there?" So she went to work for an insurance company and worked there for many years. And of course, she never missed a regatta that we were in. I don't think she could really care a hoot about who won what race coming down to Schuylkill, but she pretended to for Chuck and for us. And so she went all over the world. And she told me later, "I think I spent every vacation of my entire life on a rowing vacation." But you know what? You'd never hear anybody else. She never said that to anybody. I mean, to her, you'd think rowing was the biggest thing. But it was only because, of her sons and Chuck that she spent so much time and energy supporting all of us and going to all the things. And, no one could have won a race or refereed overseas and like that without her support. She worked her way up through the insurance business. This is a funny story because she worked investigating claims, people with disability or people who died. Sometimes she'd find people who faked their death. But mostly, she knew about so many different diseases and symptoms and drugs that everybody in the family and a lot of friends, whenever they were sick, they would call her up first. Say, "Mary, here's my symptoms. What should I do?" Or, "The doctor told me to take this drug. What do you think about it?" And even after they went to the doctor, they'd call her back and say, "Here's what he told me to do. You think he's right?" And she would give her answer.
Dr. Colgan, that's right.
Dr. Colgan. And so she finally went to college. She helped, along with my dad, put all 3 of the boys through private school and university, and it wasn't until everybody was set that she went back to college and graduated. She was about 50, I guess, and still worked. And but the main thing about Mom, I think, is everybody who knows her, she just cared so much about other people. She was the one who everyone went to if they wanted to know something about the other people in the family, their cousins, anybody in the family, because Mom kept in touch with everybody. She had a sincere interest in everybody in the family, and she had a memory that was unbelievable. She knew what every grandchild was doing. She knew what everybody's husband and wives were doing, and she was always, asking. You never heard Mom talk about herself, but she just had such an interest in friends and family, and she would do everything that she could, for them. I mean, besides putting the 3 of us through school and through college, she helped put all 10 grandchildren through college. When most people in their 70s were thinking about saving for medical care and things like that. So she was just the kind of person that was always there for friends. She was always there for family. She never bragged about herself. She was very self-effacing, and she had friends, as you can see here, that she had for life, that she kept in touch with, and that she loved very sincerely, and people loved her. And I can honestly say that she's the most impressive human being that I've ever met, and I think myself and many other people, friends and family, that aspire to live their life and finish their life knowing that they've done everything they could for their family and their friends. So whenever I look at the clock, I'll think of what I can aspire to be more like Mary.
Here. So anyway, actually.